We're doing a big green egg obviously today. In today's recipe, we're going to do smoked salmon. So we'll get started. I like to show the process so everybody understands how easy, clean, and fast it is to light the big green egg. So we are going to cook the salmon from scratch here. So we'll show the process of how easy this is to light. I'm going to remove this from the last cook. Okay, so the charcoal that's in here, this is left over from whenever we last cooked. I don't recall. So basically you stir the act here is you want to stir the charcoal so that powder, anything that's on there, falls down through the grate. And then I'm going to dig just a little spot to actually put our fuel light here. In this case, I use the stump chunks. You could also use a fire starter stick. I'm just going to put some of this right down here in the middle. We're smoking today, so we're going to shoot for a temperature of 250 degrees. I'm just going to do one spot here in the center. With the stump chunk, that's where your fire starter would go. And with the stump chunks, this is ground up roots and stump of a tree. That's where all the nutrients are stored in a tree. So this burns a little, it burns hotter and a little slower than you would with regular kindling. So it works great. Gets the charcoal hot pretty fast. What I do with this, I'm going to open the bottom draft door. I just want to make sure you don't want to smother with the stump chunks. You don't want to smother. If you had a fire starter stick, you could go ahead and shut the lid and let that start going. With the stump chunks, you want to let it go a little bit. It does burn a little slower. So I'm not going to go too fast on covering it up. But you basically just want to have a couple pieces of charcoal. You don't have to touch anything. Just kind of bring it in over the top. Okay, we'll let that go for just a second. So we're going to smoke the salmon today, so we'll get this all set up as a smoker. I've got everything that I need here. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to show you how we actually season and get the salmon ready to go on the grill. And we also, so with smoked salmon, when we're done with this, you could eat it as a meal, but it usually ends up as an appetizer. We love to have this as an appetizer. You can take the salmon off. You can even put it in the fridge and have it the next day. Cold smoked salmon is really good. But what we're going to do is, there's a sauce when the salmon is done. We actually make a sauce that's made out of mayonnaise, sour cream, capers, and you take a piece of the salmon, you put it on a cracker, and then you put that sauce. I don't do the mayonnaise sauce myself, but we'll show you how to make it. Okay, once it's going to this point, and I've got some charcoal kind of over the top there. That'll work just fine. I'm going to remove this cap, shut the lid, and make sure the bottom draft door is open. Okay, I'm going to move this over to the disposable cutting board, and we'll deal with that. We'll actually go ahead and do that first. Real simple process on the salmon. I'm using Raging River. This is the only thing I use on salmon. This stuff is so good. It was actually created for salmon. The smoke's going right into the camera. It's good on. I think they say it's also good on chicken and. Yeah, chicken and pork as well, but it's a salmon rub. This stuff is so good. Use it all the time. I wouldn't make salmon without it. Just want to get a little coat of olive oil on the salmon, so we've got that the rub will stick to it. So that's the only ingredient. Get a little fly here. And I'm going to use quite a bit of this stuff. This creates a crust over the top, so don't be afraid to, you really can't over season it with this stuff. And then much like a slab of ribs or a pork shoulder, you actually want to pat that into the salmon to get it to stick, and then you can reapply even a little bit more. You'll see when this comes off, if you use enough of this stuff on here, it's almost like a bark on the outside of it. It just tastes so good. All right. That takes care of that. It's nice when you use the gloves. You've got a clean hand. I don't have to go in and wash up before you keep going. We'll check our temperature here. That's pretty close. So you saw that spike. I think we caught, it was coming up past 300 degrees, and now it's working its way back down. That was the flames from the stump chunks that were in there. So that's more of an accurate reading. We're getting pretty close. I don't want that to get too high over the 250 that we're shooting for, but I'm going to let it come back up a little bit, and then we'll show you how we set the temperature on that. All right, so now I'm going to attempt to make the mayonnaise caper sauce. Again, this is, you can do whatever you want. I do just the, I'm happy with just the salmon on a cracker without this. I'm not mayonnaise or sour cream kind of guy, so we'll see if we can make this. If it were mustard, I wouldn't even be able to touch it, but we'll give this a shot. Okay, so we got 2 parts mayonnaise to 1 part sour cream.
You're gonna need another spoon.
And I'm gonna need another spoon. Okay. While I was at it, I got a paper towel as well, so that I got a place to put the mayonnaise spoon when it's done. I don't want to touch that, that's for sure. Or the sour cream. I'm not a big fan of this either. If it's in a ingredient, if it's in a meal, that's fine, but I'm picky. Okay, 2 parts mayonnaise, 1 part sour cream. Gonna mix that together. Okay, then we're gonna add some salt. And garlic powder. Our egg is getting pretty close to temperature here. A little bit of garlic powder. And then we have capers, and they have to be the non-peril? Capers. I don't know, I don't remember the other type, but I know every time I have this on the grocery list, you gotta make sure you get the right one. Okay, we're gonna we want a little bit of the juice. You want some of the caper juice, and then you want a bunch of these capers. Here's why I brought the paper towel, I made a mess. All right, we'll pause here just for a second and notice that the egg is now climbing in temperature. So it came back down to 250 and it's now on its way up. That's where you want to stop it. That's no longer the starter that's in there. That's actually, if I just kept talking here or got busy and didn't pay any attention, that's going to continue to climb, and within a matter of 2 minutes from now, we'd be at 600 degrees plus, which is great. This thing is super fast, but there it is at 300 and climbing. So we're gonna, here it is, put our cap on, because now that we're at 300, we want to stop it there. So I'll put the cap on with the holes open. If you've watched the previous episodes, then you know the trick of ones. In this case, we're gonna do 250, so we're gonna do 1 credit card opening on the bottom. And that's actually little, we could go even a little less than that. And what will happen here is the egg, now that we're kind of restricting the airflow on the egg, you'll see a little puff of smoke that'll start coming out of here as it dies down, and then the temperature is gonna start coming down as well. But that will maintain 250 degrees for almost forever. Let's go ahead and set this up for smoking. All right, so you can take a look there. You can see right there in the center. I don't want to over smoke this. If I were smoking like when we did before, when we've done the pork shoulder and I just load it with wood, I would not recommend doing that with fish. The fish can take on, so I'm going to find my hot spot right there in the center. And for smoke, we're just going to use, I only happen to have 2 left of the black cherry bourbon infused. This works really good on salmon. You want kind of a mild, but this is literally, these 2 are the only thing I'm going to use. But since I'm only using these 2 and we're going to do a short cook, this is probably going to take about 1.5 hours to 2 hours usually on a salmon this size. So I'm going to drop it down where it's going to smoke immediately, because if I put it around here, it's never going to get there. That would be hours from now before that would ever happen. So I've got that in place. I'm using the egg expander setup this time with this one. So you can see we have the 2 half moon pizza stones. That's actually 2 pieces there on the bottom that creates that circle to give us the indirect heat. And then I've got my drip pan. That's a drip pan from a previous cook, but it's just going to catch the drippings from the fish, so no harm done there. We're just going to use it again. I try and use them a few times before I throw them away. So we've got that in place. We'll shut this and let those smoker bricks start smoking here. That'll start spewing out smoke, and when it does, we'll put the salmon on. So the last thing we got to do here is the lemon zest. This process always seems like so much work for little results, but I'm sure it makes a difference in the taste, right? Mm-hmm. So here is our mayonnaise, sour cream,
caper
sauce that will be shown at the end. And what we'll do, nobody wants to sit here and watch the dial or crickets or anything out here for 2 hours while this is going to cook the fish. So we'll go ahead and put this on. There you can get the bourbon infused black cherry.
A virtual sniff.
Okay. I don't remember how big this one was. A pretty good size piece of fish. I just place that right there in the middle. All my drippings are going to fall right into that pan, so I'm not making a mess there. Disposable cutting board, that makes this easy just to toss. Put all my trash on there. And again, we'll take a look here. There's our finished product. And as I mentioned, you can take like the biggest part and just pull. As soon as I pull the fork, you can see how it flakes. That is absolutely done. You could also check by temperature if you wanted to and look for 145 degrees, which it's there. I checked it just a couple minutes ago. So we're going to take that off. It's time to eat. Make sure I don't have a platter handy. So the skin is on the bottom of the salmon. We're done with this, so we'll go ahead and shut the egg down. All that goes out. You can eat it hot just like this. You can also put it in the fridge, and cold smoked salmon is, some people even like it better. So we'll make one for the camera operator first, the way that it is intended to be made, with this lemon
Caper sauce?
Lemon caper sauce, which is mayonnaise, sour cream. We did all that before. We don't have to go through that again. So I guess we put a little bit like this. I'm going to try not to get any on my fingers. That look right?
Yes.
Then you just kind of pull some of your salmon. It'll pull right off the skin there. So you want to take some of this, put it on top. Now that's smoking hot. We might let that sit for just a second.
Oh no.
No?
No, I want it.
I'll try and hand off the virtual bite.
Gotta go to the camera.
Okay, here it comes. Smoked salmon on the big green egg as promised.